I'd watch that too. Over to American football. Cowboys getting their finances in order. They did so yesterday. Dak Prescott, $36 million. They restructured the deal. Cap space money comes with that. That's after doing C.D. Lamb's deal. They redid that. In all, $56 million in cap space. Adam Schefter talked about their plans on Get Up today.
You need a baseline of money to be able to try to re-sign some of your own free agents, which they want to do, like Jordan Lewis, like Rico Dowdle, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. You want to pay your own guys. You need money to pay your draft class. You need money to have flexibility. It's not like they're not going to spend in free agency, but it's not like they're going to jump into the market and all of a sudden sign 5 different players to premium prices. By restructuring these contracts, they've given themselves the flexibility that they need to address certain needs. This doesn't lead to some spending spree. That's not where they're going with this. This allows them the flexibility to do what they feel like they need to make sure that this roster is intact.
And they have to make sure it's intact because the Super Bowl champions in their division, the Commanders are on the up. Mike Tannenbaum, senior NFL writer, Bill Barnwell, joining us now to talk all things Cowboys. Mike, I'll start with you. Schefter kind of laid the groundwork there for what they want to do this offseason. But what does help them outside to bring in to Dallas?
You know, Matt, when you're constructing your team, the highest and best use of every dollar is really consequential. And this year, draft a running back. There's so many good running backs. And look, Rico Dowdle played well, but let him graduate into free agency. But when we talk about guys like Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Trayshawn Junkins, Travion Henderson, on and on and on, Matt, there will be a running back. If they don't get him in the first round, certainly the second round. So when you think about their draft capital, the cap space that Adam alluded to, the running back position should be addressed in the draft.
Mike's correct. This is a great draft for running backs, but you also need guys to open up holes for those running backs. Of course, so many of these great Cowboys teams over the past 20 years, when they've been good, they've had a very good offensive line, and they're missing some guys from years past. Zach Martin retired. Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz left last offseason. That line needs replenishment. Why not attack your divisional rival and go out and get Mekhi Becton, who was a mauler for the Eagles on the interior after moving to guard last year? I think back to someone like Leonard Davis, a Cowboys addition from years past in free agency, who was a great addition for them after moving from tackle inside to guard. Get that big body in there, improve a rushing offense that was so bad in the red zone last year. Try to score touchdowns with that new running back in the draft. And I know the Cowboys, like Adam said, they're not going to be a team that goes out and signs 4 or 5 free agents. But maybe that one targeted guy, replenish the offensive line, make that running back's life easier, and make Dak Prescott's life easier as well.
And to that end, spend money on the outside and the guy Becton. You could draft 2 running backs in the draft. We were at the Senior Bowl. It's loaded. You could draft 2 running backs, 3rd and 4th round. They could be frontline starters in the NFL for 5-6 years. All right, speaking of a frontline starter, DK Metcalf wants a trade. He requested one out of Seattle. If there was a team out there, Mike T, that should just go all in on DK, who and why?
Matt, it's the New York Giants. When you're putting together your roster of receivers, you want to look a little bit like a basketball team. You have Malik Neighbors, who's as dynamic and shifty as anybody. And then, wow, the physicality of DK Metcalf on the outside, that would be a perfect complement to Neighbors. We also know Giants are in a win-now mode. That's been well documented. So you could get a veteran like Metcalf, who's great right after the catch, great red zone 3rd down. I think he would be ideal. And Darius Slayton's a free agent, so let one graduate, acquire the other one.
Does he need a quarterback, though?
Oh.
Throw to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, Giants can make sense. I look towards the AFC and a team that already has a quarterback that I wrote about in my column today in DK Metcalf, and that is Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. And I just think back to all those great Sean Payton offenses in New Orleans. What did they have? They had a big body who could work the middle of the field. It was Marquise Colston, the Hofstra grad, early on. Jimmy Graham, Michael Thomas. I don't know if the Broncos had that guy last year with Bo Nix. Cortland Sutton's a big player, but not the same physicality a DK Metcalf has. Bo Nix was 25th in the league in passer rating on in-breaking routes last year per the NFL's next-gen stats. Get him that big body while you have Bo Nix on a rookie deal. I think that would make total sense for the Broncos, as, of course, like everyone else in the AFC, they try and chase down the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I would bet the Patriots are on Bill's full article on the 10 best landing spots on Metcalf. He's not keeping that for anyone. Just dropped. Updated today. No change at number 1. Travis Hunter, elite 2-way player in Colorado. Says he could legitimately play both sides of the ball in the NFL after logging in 6 season. Abdul Carter checks in at number 2 after leading the best in tackles for loss. himself. Again, the new one drops today. So, Mel, first blush at that, I think the first thing that stood out to me, which is different than years past, you only had 2 quarterbacks in your top 25. Why?
Well, they're the ones that deserve to be there, Matt. Have been all year. Cam Ward at Miami and Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. I'm sticking with Shedeur as my QB1. April 4th is their pro day. We'll see how he throws there. That will determine a lot for QB1, QB2. QB3, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss is my guy there. QB4, wide open between Kyle McCord, Syracuse. Tyler Shucks moved up through the process. But Cam Ward's arm strength, the ability to play in all weather conditions. Obviously, when you think about the Cleveland Browns to pick number 2, Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincy, Pittsburgh, important in that regard. The mobility edge as well is the reason I believe he's the consensus number 1 quarterback. For me, though, Matt, Shedeur Sanders, He did it under pressure situations. He's the toughest quarterback I ever graded. Love the kid. Yeah,
interesting, too, you bring up Kyle McCord. He's been one of those guys through this draft process, at least till now, that's been kind of quiet, led the country in passing yards. We'll see if he doesn't start getting some buzz like we saw to Jackson Dart over the past few weeks. Now, in this newest big board, which position group did you place the most value on?
Want to see recovery speed, athleticism for the corners, Matt. And I think when you saw these guys work out, you got a little more excited than you thought they would going in, say, with Shanae Barron from Texas. He had a great year, but you're hearing, well, he's going to run probably in the low 4.5s, 4.49. To run 4.39, Matt, for the kind of year he had, intercepting passes, breaking up passes, getting after the quarterback, tackling machine. Shanae Barron moves from maybe Buffalo in the late first up into the mid first. And, of course, Maxwell Hairston running that 4.28 after the year he had 2 years ago when he was healthy. There's 5 interceptions now. Instead of maybe to Washington in the late first, maybe he jumps up to, say, Green Bay at pick number 23. Cornerbacks in general, even Darian Porter, Iowa State, had one great workout as well. He could be a second-round pick.
So, Mel, every year it seems like we have a position group that's just a star. Last year there was a ton of receivers. The quarterbacks were obviously stars. Who do you look at position group-wise? It sounds like corner can be a contender for that. I think the running back draft class is loaded. What's the biggest sell in the terms of position group?
I'll tell you, it's improving, Matt. I thought it would be an underwhelming draft, but I think when you go through the process now, a lot of these kids are popping, and they're a little bit better than you maybe thought in terms of grades. That's made maybe the wide receiver position we thought was going to be really down a little bit better. There's edge rushers out there. Defensive tackle spot's been always strong. I think you look at the tight end H-back group's not bad. Overall, not a bad draft. That's turned out to be pretty good, especially from that 3rd through 7th round. Late day 2, early day 3 is going to get you a lot of good players, but that cornerback spot in general, from the combine through the process, has really looked good.
And as you know, rounds 3 through 7, that's really where you build your franchise, those day 2 picks that can be cornerstones for years to come. Okay, finally, who's got the chance to be the sleeper star in your big board?
I'll tell you what, I mentioned Barron from Texas, Matt. Let's go to the other side of the ball with Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
We said, hey, Emeka Egbuka, once he runs, and he could run the 4.4s, is going to be that professional receiver that maybe Pittsburgh could look at. How about Matthew Golden? How about professional? He was a really good player for 2 years with the Houston Cougars. Then he goes to Texas, kind of under the radar transfer. He has 9 games this year where he averages over 20 yards a catch, was clutch in big situations for Quinn Ewers, and he runs not a 4.48, 4.52. He runs a 4.39 40. You're talking about a guy sub 4.4, 4.3, 4.29. I mean, it's amazing. We were thinking 4.4s, Matt, to run a 4.29, 4.3 for Matthew Golden, who was a professional, solid receiver. We thought maybe late first, early second. Now he gets into that Pittsburgh Steelers spot where we thought Emeka Egbuka could be and may well be. But Matthew Golden now is firmly established based on that 4.29, 4.3 40 as a definite, I believe, first-round draft pick.
I absolutely love that pick. As someone who had to watch Matthew Golden in person eliminate my Arizona State Sun Devils in the college football playoff, I can attest he's fast, he's good, and he's going to make the team look really, really smart when they select him. Mel Kiper, great stuff.